Baby, Graph Champs, baby, season 2, the end of the year, last show of the year. Here we go. Last year we ended off the season 1 with JD B.T.W. Salute to JD, my brother. That was a legendary show. So today we have another legendary closeout to the year, season 2, Big JEE B.T.C. You heard? We got the gods in the building. You know what I'm saying? Salute Roach, I see you. Salute A1s, I see you. You know what I mean? I want to give a big super shout out to the last show, the big Sticker Kings of New York. You heard? They blessed me with the GAC. You heard? Big Day, Big Detour, Cast, Coma, and Ribs. Salute to the Sticker Kings of New York, boy. They had that shit litty. You heard? Litty. Salute Dest. I see you. I see you, my nigga. Word. So share the live. I gotta throw out my theme music one time real quick to get this shit started. You heard? Share the live. Share the live. Share the live right now. Share the live.
Diablo.
Yeah, Graph Champs. We got JEE B.T.C. You heard?
Graph Champs every other Saturday. 8 o'clock on the dot. On the gram, we catch your feed. Interviewing the Graph legends. Tuning the present and past segments. We showing love to all the icons. Supporter giving flowers, let bygones be bygones. Graph Champs, we never stop, never. We keep the score, everybody's top 10. Dead or alive, who do you see the best? Drop a comment who you want to see up next. And who the best, so go ahead and take a stand. SRMBK, go ahead and shake the can.
Shake the can, you heard? Share the live.
Diablo, SR the general.
Salute to my brother Diablo, you heard? F Boom, you heard? Straight 16, you heard?
Chant, yeah, Graph, chant.
Shout out the Graph Champs.
Shout out the Graph Champs. Shout out the Graph Champs.
Yeah.
Shout out the Graph Champs. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Tune in to Graph Champs. We appreciate the love and support for all the Graph Kings. The most amazing and iconic artists out here, smashing it from the train yards to the rooftops to the storefronts, highways, catching right. That's all the general. He be going crazy, bro, from his Instagram account, Supreme Clientele Radio. Interviewing all the icons, the ones that led the way.
Salute Big Dreads.
Legends, the ones that set the stage.
Share the live, share the live, share the live.
In silence, let us remember those. Peace. Whether they family or they will friend or foe. Hate them or love them, let's show them some respect. Major contribution in hip-hop, Graph Champs to the death. Ready and willing, never scared to fry. Never. Chance in the art to getting up, prepared to rise. Super talented.
Share the live, share the live.
Let's show them love while they breathing. Go ahead and share the live, share the live. So tell a friend and go and tell a friend. Interviews are dope from the start up to the end. To the end. Let's show them love and call it glory time. Repost his post on your post.
Big Jack, you heard?
Storyline. So tell a friend and go and tell a friend. Interviews are dope from the start up to the end. Let's show them love and call it glory time. Repost his post on your post.
Share his post up on your storyline. Salute now.
God General, Graph Champs.
501, baby.
Music, the beat God. Straight 16, straight the boss of bosses. 4-5 to God. Butcher boys.
Yo, listen, man. This is a very special edition of Graph Champs. It's the last show of the year. Last year we ended off with a legendary punch. We had JD B.T.W. This year we have none other than himself, the Bronx Barbarian, the NYC Graph Champ. One of the niggas that been keeping it live from the 2000s on. You know what I'm saying? And just barbarian shit. You heard Big JEE B.T.C, my nigga. You heard JEE B.T.C. I gotta see what it is. Damn, salute, my nigga. Share the live, yo. Salute, T. I see you. My High Life niggas is in the building. My 156 All-Star niggas is in the building. I see you. Salute to everybody. Thank you for joining. And without further ado, I'ma bring Big G on. You heard? Because y'all niggas better share the live at the end. Let me see. Yo, G. I'm posting up the motherfucking.
Yo, what up?
Here we go, baby. Here we go. Big JEE B.T.C in the building. All right, share the live, everybody. Share the live. All right, yo, G, before anything, I just want to say thank you for coming on Graph Champs. And the reason that I asked you to be on Graph Champs is because you've been making noise for a very long time. Fill-ins, piecing, freight trains, different states, different countries, New York City, running around, being notorious, running with legends, being a legend. So I just want to salute you and thank you for coming on. You heard my brother?
Appreciate you.
All right, so in regular Graph Champs fashion, we're gonna start from the beginning. So, cause me and G had a conversation off camera and shit, and I just assumed everybody knew, but we're gonna just take it from the beginning and let it unravel. My brother G, what got you into graffiti?
Well, for those who don't know, my story's a little different. My brother Colt too got me into graffiti. And I got into graffiti literally like 10 years old. Like, not even making this up. I got pictures of him. I send you them pictures of him doing me throw-ups. I was 10 years old, and he would hook me up. I got pictures of him hooking me up on the trains when like 84, 85.
All right, so since Cope is your brother, and that's obviously how you know about graffiti, I want to switch the question up.
Yeah.
When did you realize that your brother was Cope? Like he was...
I don't know, honestly. I don't really know, to be honest with you. I guess when you're from the block, it's like, everybody's famous on their block. But then when you start getting a teenager, you start going out more, then you start realizing, it's more than just the neighborhood. And even back then, like when I was little, you would watch, like my other brother was more into like rap music. So he kind of got me more into music. And then Cope was the graffiti. But even back in the days, you remember like 92, 93, you would see rap videos like Master Ace, certain things, and he would be in the videos, and that always bugged me out. So I guess that's when I was like, oh shit, like, this is cool.
So you just peeped them just like everybody else did? You seen the video, was like, oh shit, my brother's in the video?
Yeah, like because I would watch Video Music Box and all that all day. Like that's what I was as a kid. If he was into hip hop.
Yeah, all right, so I just want to make it clear for the fans, like just being Cope's brother is like fucking being KRS-One's brother or somebody like that from the Bronx, a fucking true legend, my nigga.
Yeah.
So I assume you grew up around the greats.
Yeah, but I did, but I guess at that age I didn't know. Like you don't really know what your, how do you say it, what your surroundings are, because you don't really, like they say, you don't know like great things are happening while they're happening. It's kind of like you're just in the moment. And then when you get older, you're like, oh shit, I was like kind of around a lot of stuff I didn't realize. Like it was crazy. Being around everybody, like literally everyone.
So
Because I would hang out with him a lot when I was a little kid.
So then it's hard to get you starstruck because you was in the fucking atmosphere at a young age.
You still would be, because like one thing about like Cope, even if you know him personally, he was never like, he never had an ego. So even back then, he would always be like really cool with everyone and show you respect. He never was like too cool for anyone. So when you see him show someone respect, you also show them respect. You were like, oh, that's my big brother. He shows them love. Then, they must be cool. Like he was never like, he never thought he was cooler than anyone, which sounds crazy when you think about who he is.
It sounds mad crazy. How did you get your tag? G-J-E-E.
It's kind of my name, to be honest with you. Like that's really my name. Like nobody in my family's ever called me my name. Like it's always been G. Like, my name is Jesus, so it was always short. But even my grandmother, when I was a baby, that was my name. Like I don't even think anyone's ever called me my real name. My family. That's just been my name.
So the beginning of your story, like what years, like when you picking up the can and doing your own thing, like for real, like able to do it?
I mean, that's a hard question, only because, like I said, like I was around it so much that I would write in the neighborhood. I was trying to get a picture. One of my boys got thrown up. I did like maybe in '93. I was like 12 years old. I used to bomb like the schoolyards in the area. There was like a bunch of schoolyards, but we didn't really take pictures and shit. But I would say bombing, like actually leaving the neighborhood and trying to bomb, I would say like 97, 98, maybe 90, 97, 98 more.
So
And
those
every year it became more gradual. Like it would be a little bit, but then as I got older, it became more. It became more.
Those mid to later 90 years, mad competition, a lot of great writers.
Yeah, I remember I used to be little, like 1996, and me and Remo would go bombing in the fall line like 7 o'clock at night.
Big Remo, another.
Getting chased off rooftops. Like I remember he showed me not too long ago a scar he got we got chased when we were little kids, and I forgot about it. In like 96, 97, we was already climbing fall line rooftops. We didn't know better. But then it's funny because Cope would see it and then he'll yell at me for bombing. He'd be like, "What are you doing?" I used to be like, "Just bombing." Like, I don't know. He would get mad at me. It was funny.
But when you said like 93 is like when you started getting your feet wet like that and everything. 93.
I mean, I don't really count that because I was so young. It's like I said, it's weird. Like I would be 10 years old sitting at walls with my brother, maybe stealing his markers and write. But that to me, that doesn't count. Like to me, it's more of when was I actually, establishing bombing consistently. So I would say like 98, 99 was more when I was like active, like getting active. To me, all the other stuff doesn't really count.
So we already know Cope KD, but it's GBTC. Is BTC your crew?
Well, yeah, it was me and Spec. We started it when we were little kids because Spec used to live up the block from me. So, we always just start your little crew. And I actually started as, I think it was BTV. And then Spec, like the next day, was like, we should change it to BTC. And we was like, yeah, that's the name. And that was it from there.
So, because all right, I'm from Brooklyn. So hearing BTC, that was like a infamous name. Like when you hear BTC, it was like I heard stories about y'all niggas. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I ain't gonna lie, like we did a lot of bad shit, but it was part of growing up. I mean, you're from Brooklyn. Same thing in Brooklyn. Like every hood was the same. It was just different. And it's establishing your name. Like you're not, in graffiti, you know how it was. If you was a sucker, you wasn't gonna be around long. Like that's just what it was. Like everyone knew the suckers because they would just get herbed up. Like you couldn't be a sucker right graffiti. Nowadays it's different. Like these kids, I don't know. Like they just be best friends. It's just bugged out to me. But back then it just wasn't like that. Like you couldn't. Your name was everything. You couldn't be a sucker. Then even if you think about the Bronx, like when you watch, for example, Star Wars, the most notorious writer in there was from the Bronx. So it becomes your mentality. It's like, oh, this is what the Bronx is, and that's what you have. And that's it. If you're not this, you're not repping the Bronx.
Oh, so that's a great point. So since you're coming from the Bronx and you see this movie and everybody like knows that part of the movie, fuck that cat going everybody. It's about more. So that's the mentality of most Bronx niggas off the top, like the street bombers.
I mean, it was for me because it's like, you see, Cap was like, one of my brother's idols. So, you always listen to what your older brothers say and your siblings and that. So Cap was dope, and it's like everyone hated him, but to me it was like, oh, that's the Bronx guy. And then you hear the stories, it's like most people didn't do nothing to him. Like he would go over them, and to me that was so dope. And then like growing up around like Cope, I would be around like dudes like Near, and Near, growing up around him, rest in peace. He was like the standard for the bombing in the Bronx to me, because he was ill. Like to me, he was the guy that you would hear stories, and I would hear these stories because he would come to my brother's house to drink 40s, watch fucking Videograph, and you would hear, oh, I ran into this guy in Scrapyard and I slapped the shit out of him and blah blah blah. I think it was still Scrapyard back then. And then and it was just so ill. You hear this and you be like, oh, this is what it is. Like this is what you do. You know what I mean? Like that was what it was. Like you catch him and that's what happens.
Word. Rest in peace, Near, bro. That was a big giant loss. KGB family, bro. Near to me was like the, Remo is like the mini Near to me now. You know what I'm saying? Remo is Near to me.
Yeah, Near was different though. Like Remo bombed. He's a big dude. He bombed, but Near was like, he was like a force. It's like when he came around, it was like a presence. Like it was like you either was with him or you was getting ran out. Like that's just what it was. And then you know, it was dope because he was, you know, he was younger than my brother, so he would be around and there would be that respecting, and he would show me love because, you know, he knew me since a baby, and then I would just be like, all right, that's the, you know, that's near, that's the standard. Like, I like that feeling of, you know, when you grow up, that's that feeling of people just, I wouldn't say fearing you, but respecting you. And he definitely earned that respect, and I always felt you had to have that respect. If you let people sucker you, even if you get beat up, that's fine. Like, I'd rather get beat up and be like, oh, at least he fought. But you can never be the dude that was just getting hurt around. And he was, you know, the example of that to me.
It's a fact. Big respect to the whole KGB mob. You heard? So Spec, was he your first bombing partner?
Uh, I don't know. Nah, I don't think so. I'm trying to think because he was a little younger than me. Nah, not really, because I would say it was more like Remo and like MB40 kind of from the
Salute my nigga MB42.
yeah, because they were like a year or two older than me, but Spec is like a year or two younger. So I was always outside early. Like I would be in the street young, you know, because my other brother Dez was always on the block. So like I would go outside and let me see, let's say I started high school like 96. Spec wasn't really bombing, but I was going like meeting up with Remo. I remember like walking the J line with Remo. Or like we would go to like Queens. I think there was a Home Depot in Queens. It was 24 hours. We would have no paint. We would just go there, rack like 4 cans, and then take the train to Brooklyn and bomb like fucking idiots. Like just 2 of us sometimes.
Yo, that's the real bomber mentality. With only 4 cans, but with those 4 cans, you're gonna make people are gonna see your shit.
That's why I used to do a lot of ROs because it was like, damn, I only got like 3, 4 cans. I got to do as much shit as I can. So that's why like a lot of them used to do like 2-letter fill-ins back in the day.
So how was it bombing with Spec? Because you know I never got to meet him. Rest in peace. You know?
I mean, he was, you know, he was like my little brother. So you know, he was only a year too younger. But like I said, I was out a little younger than him. Being outside. So like we would bomb, but it's weird because like I would bomb with him, but I wouldn't bomb with them a lot. And it was more because I was more of a like, I would rather we spread out. Like we don't have to bomb together. Like we're the same crew. If you're bombing over there and I'm bombing over here, it's just better. That was just always my theory. So I would bomb with them, but I would go out more like, you know, like when the 2000s started hitting, more with like TD and Jeer 4. Like we would drive around and just get out of, we didn't know where the fuck we was and just start bombing until we literally wouldn't stop till we had no more paint. Or it was like 6 in the morning. It was like, I think we did enough. That's enough. Like it's already too early.
What about since?
Since we would bomb too, like we would bomb, but it was like I said, I don't know if it was just me, but if they were bombing, I'll be like, oh, where y'all going? The Bronx? Then I'm going. It was just didn't make sense for me for us to always bomb together everywhere. If that makes sense to you. Like we didn't have to be everywhere together.
Strategic shit, strategic.
And then they used to like to bomb deep. I hated that shit. To this day, I hate that. Like they would go 20 deep. And I'd be like, yo, my man, I'm not walking around with 20 motherfuckers. 1, you fighting for a spot. 2, you like, it's just too much attention. I was like, I ain't doing that shit. It just wasn't for me. I was like, y'all could do that shit somewhere else. I'm going over here.
So when did you feel like, no, let me ask this. Did you ever feel like you was growing up in your brother's shadow?
Yeah, of course. When you're young, like, you know, when you did, because I was always introduced as, oh, this is Cope's brother. And then I'm like, oh, man, my name's not Cope's brother. Like, that's not my name. And then, you know, and then you'd be like, you know, it gets annoying because you're like, that's not my name. But then I guess people are more receptive to you because they're like, oh, all right, that's his brother. And then eventually when they know me, they usually wind up being cool with me. And then it just, you know, you're either cool with them still or you're not, like, whatever.
So in your mind, you was never like, yeah, I'm gonna rock this shit and I'm gonna try to get up more than Cope. You never thought that?
I never knew I never thought I could get up more than him. I don't know. I'm not very competitive with my friends. Like, I don't care who's up more than who. To this day, I don't really give a fuck about that. I was more like, how do I establish myself? So then it became, I wouldn't really paint with him because, I mean, I just felt like anything I did with him would be more about him. And
I
then
was gonna ask you that
and
because
then
I
I
was
think
thinking.
it took a while for him to even accept that I was bombing, because he would be like, "Oh, don't do that. You're gonna get in trouble. You're gonna be fighting and doing all this shit." And I used to be like, whatever. Then he'll tell me that and give me fucking a bag of orange dots. And then I just go,
Yo, nah, cause I was thinking, bro, cause if Cope was my brother, like when I was young, you know, cause first thing you want people to know your shit. Cause I would have been whoring. I would have been like, my brother's Cope, nigga, you crazy. I would have been trying to do feelings with the nigga shit. So the
we
way you
did.
think is like totally different from a toy. You know, that's how, you know, all toys just want to get thing, you know?
Yeah. You do, but like we did throw ups together, but we wasn't really bombing together. And then I think it was a thing of him was like it took a while for him to accept that I actually was bombing. And then even him, he understood like I didn't need him to bomb. Like if anything, he would give me the information. He would be like, go here, do this, start like this, like maybe go under the lines and just kill the lines first, because that's where everyone takes the train. I would just kind of follow his blueprint, and then I would just do my own thing, And then I think he was just happy seeing that, like oh, all right, he's doing his own thing. Because even the bombing, if you think about it, he kind of slowed down. Like he was doing more clean trains and pieces. And the clean trains you mentioned, because he's got caught and the picture's been up. It became a thing where he was probably like, do I want to go out and do 20 throw-ups, or do I want to do a clean train? And he would probably do a clean train and then do a piece in the morning. So our agenda was different once I started painting more.
Did it ever come to a point where you realized that he recognized your graffiti game and gave you the respect for it?
No, I don't know. It's weird. Like, we don't even talk about that stuff. I guess it's like, because it's different with him. Like even if you look at the people that came up under him and painted with him, he never really cared about how good you were or how famous you were. It's just more if you was cool, he would message you. And then like me being his brother, I was always with him anyway. Since I was like a little kid, I would stay with him. Like at 10 years old, I would be in his house, and if he was doing walls, I would be sitting on a crate the whole weekend watching him paint. So I guess it was just, I was always around. I guess we never really thought about it.
I always wanted to ask you this too, man. Like, because a lot of people hate on your brother crazy hard, bro, and he be, beef. You already know beef. People say beef, but it ain't beef, because for one thing, I could always give it to your brother. That nigga's always said, all right, I'm going to be here today. Whoever got beef with me, I'm going to be here today doing this. Nobody showed up ever, G. I swear to God.
I didn't listen. I learned a lot of these guys are suckers, man. Like a lot of these guys are clowns, bro. If I was to tell you stories, if I was one of these niggas that gossip, you'd be like, for real? Like, there's so many dudes that talk shit. And like I started learning because like they would talk crazy, and then I would see them, and then they have a whole nother story, and I'd be like, but this is the guy that was. And then like even a few people, like not to glorify, like there's a few people I ran up on and slapped the shit out of them, punch them in the mouth, and they don't even want to fight. They're like, oh no, it's a misunderstanding. I'm like, well, I don't understand. This isn't what you were talking. And then I just realized it's all fucking a joke. Like, you just start not paying attention to it, and it's not even trying to be like, oh, some gangster or nothing, but you've seen it. Like, there's never been a thing we hide. Like, there's never like he's doing a hidden show somewhere or something, or even me, I'll do stuff and I'll be like, yeah, I'm here. Like my face is here. Like, I'm not worrying about it. You know what I mean? Because it's not a big deal. Like, I've already understood that these guys are all just like, it's like a fucking circus. Like, they just all want to talk,
exactly,
act tough, and then when it's time, they have an excuse. And it's not being a killer. It's just like, all right, I'm here. Like, you know what I mean? We was never scared. We never grew up scared. Like, you know what I mean? My mother would always tell us, like, you either get your ass kicked by them or you get your ass kicked by me when you get home. Like, you know what I mean? Like, fuck that.
And that shit worked. Nobody wanted to get their ass whooped by mom and pops, nigga. I'd rather get my ass whooped in the streets, you heard?
Yeah. But I figured out a long time ago that these dudes are mostly fucking a bunch of clowns, and that's why I don't even entertain all that stuff. Like, that's why when you
Yeah.
say beef, I'm like, beef? Like, is it really beef? Like,
Nah, son, I'm gonna say like this, because 99% of the niggas that say they got beef with Cope is not beef. But when he says he have beef with you, he's coming to see you. Yo, I used to have beef with your brother, bro. I used to have beef with your brother. I woke up one day, that nigga hit all 4 of my corners with fillings, my
yeah,
building, killed the whole avenue. Like that nigga wasn't playing. Then he called me, yo, son, meet me here. Yeah, I was like this. Oh, shit, you know what I'm saying? But yo, that nigga came. He a real nigga, son.
I know people talk shit, but they don't do anything. It's funny. Like, believe me, I got stories, man. I know people that talk mad crazy on here, and
Nah, son. But besides that, what? Because I know for a fact you grew up with Sabe. So how
yeah,
was it growing up around Sabe and everything? Because he's a very iconic '90s writer.
yeah. Well, I don't know the full story, but I know like Sabe kind of like was living with my brother for a few years when he was young, and he became family. To me, like to us, he would stay in the crib, so he was always like a part of the family. So let me see, I don't know the exact years, but let's say 92, 93, 94 around there. He would, he would be around, and I used to always like the way he tagged. So I would always watch him tag on paper, and as a kid, like literally like watching him and my brother tag, I would spend hours a day tagging on paper, which I think is like a super lost art today. Like there's so many kids who start writing who you could tell they never even tagged on paper.
Never practiced at all.
Horrible. Like really bad. Not to diss them, but I
Nah,
remember.
to diss them, G, to diss them, because right, I just say these kids should at least put a little practice in the way you did, the way I did, the way most of us did
And
before they start making shit ugly.
I agree, but I also think you got to teach them, not like kind of diss them and make them feel like, oh, you're a fucking toy. Like
That's a good point.
it's okay to start whack, but you got to eventually get better. Like some of these niggas just never get better. Like they've been writing for a few years already and they're just still whack. Like that's a toy. Like you could be up, you're still a toy. Like if you look at the definition, you're still a toy. Like I remember doing hours, like I would just listen to music all day, all night, because I couldn't be on the street late when I was a kid. If you figure like 13, 14 years old, and just write on fucking hundreds of blank sheets of paper, to the point that you would just have to write with like a highlighter and then start again with like a Sharpie because you had no more paper. But I can tell they're not doing that right now. Like it's
They ain't practicing out here, G. They ain't.
they're definitely not.
Yo, but what about DFA? Like Ed and Dole and all of them niggas. Yo, salute to my DFA family. Son, them niggas was one of the dopest crews that ever came through the Bronx also.
They're a little older than me. Like it's like the tree kind of goes like Cope, and then like the Nears, and then you get like the DFA guys, and then it will be like us under them, like by age. So I would ride the 4 line to school, and I would see, when you ride your lines, you see the riders up. So I would always see them, and then I knew them because of Sade. So like Sade would hang out with them, and I would just be around and see them, and they were always cool with me when I was a kid because Cope and Sade. But it was also a style thing. Like back in the days, the writers would wear the low and all that stuff. Like I was intrigued by that because that shit was so dope. So like I was into the North Face and the polo and the Tommy Hilfiger and all that shit at a really young age because I would watch like seeing like dudes like Sabe and them and just looking at photo albums. Like they would cast photo albums of just so much shit, and I'd be like, oh, this is dope. And then we kind of like was the next generation of that, like doing the North Faces and the Spiders and all the other stuff that came after, and we kind of all the graffiti culture created that. Like that's all the retro stuff they do now is kind of what we was doing as kids.
That's a fact. What about the BRT? You fall in the same bracket as the BRT crew then?
Even them, they're like a little they're a little older probably. Most like they're like a year or two older, and they were more from the 2 line. But I was more cool back then with Stone. Like now I'm cool with them because we're older. You know, as you get older, me paths, you become cool. But I was actually cooler with Stone, who was down with them, because Stone used to hang out on my block. So me and Stone was mad cool since I was a little kid. And then he would always be around them, and then we would probably run into each other in like skate key and shit like that back in the day. But I wasn't as cool with them back in the day when I was younger. It was more like, you know, the DFA dudes. Even dudes like Skid, I still talk to him now. Skid DFA. You know, welcome home, Skid. He just came home. Know what I mean? Like, I still have relationships with some of them.
Yo, G, I gotta ask you the hard questions now. So some feelings might get hurt, bro.
I don't
The
get
Bronx,
hurt feelings.
a lot of names, yo. TD, he's a fucking titan. You know what I'm saying? Ed,
TD's the king.
TD is that nigga. But Bronx, give me your top 5 or 10 Bronx niggas of all time. Who you think is the fucking top 10 Bronx niggas of all time? Louis 167 is in there. Well, you know, I'm throwing niggas in the air.
Well, you gotta understand too, like my list might be different from yours because I was always watching everything as a kid. So there's people as I got older that I actually liked more. So this is just my random 10, and I'm gonna keep my crew out of it just because it's just fair. Like I would say dudes like T Kid 170, only because that dude's still burning people today. You know what I mean? Like, think about it. Like, there's dudes that came in the train time around him and washed up. He's still nasty. Then there's dudes like Wayne, who I always liked his stuff. And it's just also about longevity. Like, who are the guys that have been doing it? You know, and this is no particular order. I don't want to say TD because he's a friend, he's part of my crew, so I'd rather keep.
Got to. He's a GOAT.
Yeah, or I'll say TD just for the, just to be fair. I just don't want to really put my crew in it because it just becomes 10 of my friends. Definitely my brother Cope. I think he's in another. People can say whatever you want, but I just think he's in a whole nother dimension. Like, it's like there's a point where you don't even need to be talked about. Like, it's it. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. And then, let me see, I got T Kid, I would say Wayne, we'll throw TB in there. I would say Bronx. I mean, remember, this isn't only bombing. This is just graffiti in general.
It's whoever you want.
I would say dudes like Cess. I always like Cess. He's kind of from Vernon, I think, or New Rochelle, but I think he's got a Bronx pass already. He's been living there more than 30 years. His residency is already Bronx. Tabe was ill. Tabe was dope. I remember growing up seeing him bomb. He was one of the first people I ever seen bomb the top of the roller gates. I think the gates got so bombed, he just started bombing the top of the gate where the shit came out.
Yup.
Tabe was dope. Cap, you gotta say Cap. I think Cap set the tone for the Bronx. Like, he kind of set the tone of the aggression. You know what I mean? And then you gotta put Near in there because Near took it. He became that feeling for the streets. Because when the train died, he wasn't going over people for no reason, but he kept the identity of the Bronx. Also, there's a dude, I mean, he didn't bomb for really long, but I would say I always loved this stuff. There was this dude that used to write JP. He used to do a JP tag with 2 dots.
What? JP was that nigga. And Oni, O-N-Y, JP and Oni, they used to kill shit.
Yeah, but I noticed JP more. I don't know why. I guess because the J was more, but not just like the 2 dots, and the tag was always the same. It was like a flary. He was kind of one of the first people to do flare tags. If you think about it,
he had tags everywhere, bro.
Yeah, he barely had fill-ins. I've probably seen 2 of them in the Bronx my whole life.
I seen the same picture of the high double fill-in he did. That same picture. That's all I see.
Yeah, it's on 138th Street when you get off the Brook now. I know exactly. Oh, another writer, Sento. I think Sento's another one that reps for the Bronx. I just liked his whole kind of like ninja style. Like he didn't really fuck with everybody, and he seemed like he didn't give a fuck. Like seemed like the kind of guy that just grabbed whatever paint was there and just did whatever. If one letter was blue and one letter was purple and one letter was yellow, he didn't give a shit. That's what I'm doing. And it's like he did it by himself. It's like he didn't seem like he waited for nobody. And I always liked that, that I'm gonna just do me kind of mentality. And then I don't know, who else was I gonna say? Sento's definitely one. You know, there's another Bronx writer that people might get upset that I haven't. They probably don't even know he's from the Bronx. I always liked Ghost. Ghost was Ghost, Ghost.
Ghost.
Yeah, he's a Bronx writer.
No, he's not.
Oh, yes,
Queen.
he is. If you hit him, he's not a Queens writer.
Are you dead serious? How you figure that?
I'll put any money on that. He's not a Queens writer.
If Bronx claims Ghost too, that's it. We fucked. That's it. It's a slaughterhouse.
Ask him yourself. He's not a Bronx writer. He used to paint Queens, but he's not from Queens. He's a Bronx writer. Ask him. I've spoken to him before. I've actually chosen him a few times. He's not a Queens writer. He used to paint Queens, but he wasn't a Queens writer. He's from the Bronx.
Wow.
I don't even think you've ever heard him claim Queens.
I never heard him claim Queens.
Assume it because he used to hang out with Queens writers. But if I'm correct, he was from like Kingsbridge area. If I'm correct, he might be from the Kingsbridge area.
Yo, that shit just fucked my head up, nigga.
I know it did, because when I first found out, I was like, what? I said, oh yeah, I said, we're claiming him, fuck it.
So, you got 10 right here. You got T-Kid, Wayne, TD, Cess, Tabe, Cap, Near, JP, Sento, and Ghost?
Yeah.
Cool. Who could I put because I like to write it down, G, because later on I'm gonna try to think of Brooklyn niggas to go against everybody on this.
Good luck. Good luck with that one.
Yo, bro, the Bronx has so much. So you obviously think the Bronx has the best writers then, right?
Well, that's what I grew up watching. I mean, there's a lot of dope writers like Dondi and, dudes that created their own styles like Lee. And, I mentioned train writers because I was watching trains, not watching the trains, but just listening to Cope and understanding the importance of what they did and the influence a lot of them still have now. I see what they did. I didn't see the train bombers even the street bombers. Like, there's some street bombers in Brooklyn that I love their stuff. I was always like Scuff stuff. Me and him are cool to this day. Like, he was always one of my favorites.
All right. Besides Scuff, give me like 2 or 3 other Brooklyn writers that go hard.
Scuff, Spot.
Feel good.
Spot.
Okay.
Always like Spot's throats, and his pieces too. Brooklyn, like Deck DK. From Brooklyn. And also
Which
these
one?
are people that, there's other writers, but these are people that I actually got to know, and they're cool dudes. So it's more than just being a graffiti writer, because some of these writers are fucking morons. Like
Did that ever happen to you? Did you ever meet somebody like that you was like, oh shit, and they were like not what you expected them to be?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're more, not that they were like dicks, but you're just more like, this guy's like dumb. Like, it's just hard to, like, these niggas are like, some of them are just like slow, or they just like losers, and not to be a dick, but like, you meet them, you're like, this nigga's a bum. Like, he don't even fucking look like he does anything. And then it's like, so all you do is graffiti? Like, that's all you do? Like that.
So who, besides your brother, who was the top nigga that you met besides your brother that you was like, oh shit, wow?
It's hard to be starstruck. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, growing up around him, it's like whenever people meet him, he's the guy. So it's like, you don't really look at them anymore like they're the celebrity. It's like,
what about Easy? What about Easy?
Easy was dope. The first time I met, it's funny because I actually met Jaws and Easy. I met Jaws and Easy was when, I think it was called Stressed Magazine that Ket used to do.
Stress, yeah.
They did an interview for Stress Magazine, and Cole brought me with him because I was his little brother, and I used to go everywhere with him. So he took me, and I met them, and I was like, oh shit. And I think a few years later, Josh passed away, and you know, it was kind of ill because I got to meet them, and then Easy disappeared for 20 years. I think he ever bombed again until he came back out. He was one of my favorite bombers too, them two. But you know, they weren't from the Bronx, so I didn't mention them. I think they're both from Manhattan, if I'm correct. I think they're.
I think so. I think so.
In LES or something. I'm not sure, but those are like bombing wise. Those are like two of my favorite bombers.
When you saw Easy's comeback, was you like hype? Like, oh shit, this nigga's back.
I was hyped and disappointed at the same time. So
why?
I was hyped because it was so dope to see it. And it's like, oh, I don't think they realize what's happening. Like, this is easy. But then I didn't want it to continue because I just wanted it to be like, you know, when like your favorite rapper puts out like an album and then you're like, oh,
this shit easy.
I didn't want to see 10 albums. and it's just more because I love this so much that I was like, I don't think people deserve to see this. Like, I don't think they really understand this.
That's a fact. I feel you. It's just like the 50 Cent shit. When it came out, it was so crazy, but then it was oversaturated.
And you know, it's dope that he's still active, but I don't think people really understood what he was. Like most of the generation at that time didn't see him bombing. Like I remember bombing in the early 2000s, late 90s, and still seeing Gates with Jaws and Easy 89 tags that I wouldn't even touch. I was like, nah, you can't do a feeling on that. That has to stay there. And like Utica Avenue, fucking Jamaica Avenue.
Yes.
I wouldn't even dare touch them. And you could tell the street bombers wouldn't do fillings on those gates.
When I was little, I just turned 47. When I was little, Easy and Jaws and Josh 5 had every single gate through every avenue, like within like a 20-mile radius around me, bro. That I thought they were from my hood. I was little. I thought they were from my hood.
That was everywhere.
That shit was when Easy came back, bro. I was just so happy to see it.
Big ass tags on the gates, the whole ad.
The whole ad, bro.
It was so ill that I think they had so many tags that people would spread a rumor that Jaws would walk one side and Easy would walk the other side. They would just tag each other up because their tags were so simple and they looked the same. They're like, it would be like they had to just be across the street and just tag each other up because it was just too much. Like they had so many tags.
Too much.
They were like the first real bombers to go all city in the street.
In the streets.
They're in the street, not the train's different. The streets, they probably were the first ones to take it down.
They were definitely.
That's a fact, bro. But them niggas is definitely in the history books. They're one of my favorites. I salute them niggas. You know who I used to love too a lot? Smith. Smith was like, wow. You ever met Smith?
I think I did once. He was probably like taking photos or something. I think I ran into him like in the 4 line. Because back in the day, writers would do like, instead of benching, they would walk lines and just take photos. Because they knew, for example, you knew Cope was doing a wall on the 4 line somewhere. And then you knew probably FX was doing something on the 6 line. So you just had to get off and walk and you would run into shit. It wasn't like there was no internet then.
So that's another thing. I forget you. That's a good thing you said FX. So seeing fucking like FX and Tats crew too, like getting busy. Like you know all of them niggas. Like you.
Yeah, I was around them because of Coke. Like I was literally at every wall he did. Like not exaggerating. I don't think there's a wall he did I wasn't there. All them FX Tats crew walls, any wall he did with anybody, I 99% of the time was.
Word. Rest in peace, Per. Rest in peace, Per. 1993, bro. Your brother and Per, it was their year, bro. They went all city retarded with fillings everywhere.
Everywhere. It was, I remember I started high school like 95, 96. They have fillings still from 92 down the whole strip because I went to school in Spanish Harlem. They had the whole strip bomb from 92 still running. All the neighborhoods that wasn't getting buffed, all that shit was bomb. Harlem, South Bronx. That stuff was running for like 10, 15 years, 20 years, some of that stuff.
Yo, so I was sleeping over a shorty's crib in Bed-Stuy, and then breaking out in the morning, and your brother him and Per rocked fillings on and this is when me and him had static, and I was like, yo, this nigga, like, how did he know? Like, I thought the nigga was following me. That's word. That nigga did a silver and a brown fucking outline right on the corner. Nigga, I couldn't believe it. I was like,
You can still smell the paint.
yo, nah, I left in the daytime, you know what I'm saying? But it wasn't there when I came.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I was bugging like, oh shit, Cope is looking for me. Yo, I was bugging.
I remember back in the day, when I was little, he would gas me because I'll be like 13, 14 years old. And I'll be like, oh, I want to go with you. I want to go. And he'll be like, yeah, I'm going to take you. I'm going to take you. Yeah, I'll be sleeping over his house and I'll see him getting ready. And I'm just there like, yeah, he's going to take me. He'll be like, no, go to sleep. Huh? It's too dangerous. I just be tight.
That's funny. Yo, what about you? So you used to fuck with Heck Tad too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know Hectad from probably the early 2000s. I met him. He used to hang with us. He could tell you stories about it. He used to think we was crazy. We used to do so much wild shit back in the day that there was a point that he just like avoided us because he was like, you niggas are too nuts. And he wouldn't come around. He would just like, I can't, you niggas are crazy. We were like firecrackers. Like you never knew what was happening. One day we chilling, the next minute somebody's flying through a fucking store window. He'd be like, yo, you niggas are crazy. You're gonna get me. He would just bounce.
That's good. So what about this? Do you remember the first time you ever went like to another borough, Rocky, like bombing, like to Brooklyn or anything?
Nah, not really. I mean, it's weird. I don't know how to explain it, but like, I don't really remember. I wouldn't say remember. I don't focus too much on shit that happened before, that I forget a lot of shit. It's just, I guess it's just a thing I do where I try to think always ahead, that I forget so much shit that I can't remember. Like, I remember bombing with like, I remember like time periods. Like I remember bombing with like TD and Synths and like, let's say around '01 maybe. And TD used to have like a Chevy Impala. And he used to have a top light on the front. And we used to bomb and just pull people over and fuck with them just to be dicks. But it was just hilarious because people would really stop and get out the car. And TD thought we were crazy because he would just drive and laugh at us. Because like me and Sims were a little more the retarded ones. He would be like, Sims would be like, yo, put the light on. And he'll stop, like pull people over. And he would just laugh. He'd be like, yo, you niggas are retarded. Like I remember doing shit like that, like bombing. I don't remember.
What about like there was a bomb that you was like, yo, son, I can't wait for people to see what I rock, like a crazy bomb where you just rock ill crazy spots?
Nah. The only thing I would remember that probably stood out more is like hitting certain things that you didn't think people knew about, and then the most random writer would be like, oh, I seen you kill this, and I'm like, the fuck you doing over here? Like, I remember hitting like the one line in Broadway, and it was a very short line. So I remember we would kill that shit. We would go like one night and we had the whole line passed. And like I would run into someone in like the Hall of Fame, and they'll be like, "Oh, I seen you guys hit the one line." I'm like, "How do you see that?" I don't even know people really take that train like that. Or even like the Metro North. We used to bomb the Metro North.
Metro North.
Because sometimes we would bomb the Metro North at like 8 o'clock before we went bombing. And just the people that would be like, oh, I was going upstate to see my grandmother or my aunt, and you fucking guys had mad feelings on the Metro North. Like those things more stood out than the street shit. Street shit was like whatever.
And I want the fans also to know and realize that you're one of the few, a handful actually, that not only destroyed New York City streets for long periods of time, different states and countries also. What about going to another state? When was the first time you went to another state and was like, oh, fuck it, I'm gonna go here?
I would go to other states, but I would never really, it wasn't like documenting it. Like recently I've been more like keeping track of it, and it's more because it became a new motivation. It's like, you know, when you're painting 20 plus years, it's hard to wake up and want to go paint again. Right? It just becomes a circle of the same shit. And I think that's why a lot of writers don't last. Like a lot of writers they complete their circle and then they just be like, I can't do this. It's just boring. and then they just become Instagram celebrities. They start living in the past. I was like, during kind of like the pandemic and before, like my boy Neo started more making it like a goal. He was like, "Yo, I'm gonna do every state," and I thought, "Oh, that's dope." And then my boy Sav started doing it, and then TD started doing it, and they would always invite me, but I was like,
Salute to TD, Savs, and Neo,
"Yeah."
bro. Salute to them niggas.
So and it's the same thing for them. Like they needed a new goal. So then I was like, I'll do it on my own time. When I feel like it, I'll just get to it. So then I would just go places and I'll be like, I want to hit this city. And I'll just go. Literally, I'll wake up tomorrow and go, I'm going to fucking Texas. Who gives a fuck? I'll just book a flight and then I'll just start bombing. And then it just, you start the graph community is very tight if you know the right people. So I could be like, reach out to someone I might know. I might be like, oh, let me reach out to, let's say, Neil. I'll be like, yo, Neil, you know anyone in Texas? He'd be like, oh, yeah. Or I might know someone in a certain part of Texas. He'd be like, yo, you know anybody over here or California? And then you just wind up linking up bombing. Or sometimes I bomb by myself. Like, I've been to states and just literally bomb by myself. I remember not too long ago, I was hit in Missouri. So if you ever been to Missouri and you do the check, Missouri's like the murder capital of the United States. Like between Kansas City and St. Louis, that shit is so hood. It makes Brooklyn and the Bronx look like Disneyland. I'm not even exaggerating. And I go out there to St. Louis and I'm driving around, I'm like, yo, this shit is hood. Like, when you drive in and you're like, I was like, nah, this shit is not normal. Like I knew it was dangerous and I was like, fuck it, I'm already here. And I'm probably like 10, 15 fill-ins. I'm bombing by myself. And then Neo goes like, he winds up being around there a few weeks later, like a few months later. And he takes a picture of my fill-in and he like calls me, goes, yo, you really was bombing St. Louis by yourself? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, yo, you fucking nuts. He's like, yo, this shit is crazy out here. He was like, yo, you're bugging. Like, you come out here by yourself bombing. He was like, he was like, yo, you crazy. And I was like, what I'm gonna do? Go back to my hotel? I'm already out here. Like, I just gotta do it. Like, you know what I mean? And you can't worry about, and you also gotta move, right? Like, I'm not gonna go to a block with 50 dudes outside selling drugs and be like, yo, I'm gonna bust a filling on this gate. Like, nah, I'm not that stupid. But I'm not gonna go sit in my hotel and go, oh, it's too hood for me. I gotta go back home. Like, it gotta get done.
Did you ever have a favorite country or state that you hit that it was like easy or it was just like you caught super wreck?
They're all different. Like everything, I think it's more interesting when you go somewhere and you don't realize it's that. Like there's certain places you go and be like, oh shit, I didn't know there was that much graffiti out here. Or I get more, I like more the love I get when I go. Like there's certain places you go and just the reception you get from the people is more than the bombing, if that makes sense. Like the first times I traveled to Europe, those were probably the best times, like 2004, I would say. Yeah, about 2004. And it was more because I didn't know this shit was that serious. Like I didn't know graffiti was that big. Until I started traveling and I was like, oh, this is different. Like this is, and it's different for New York writers. Like there's graffiti and then there's New York graffiti. It doesn't matter how popular a city or country is at the moment. They could be number one for the day, for the year, whatever. But New York City is always number one and number two. It's always going to be there. And when you come from New York, it's different. Like I've never been anywhere that nobody didn't know me. And I'm not even saying that like I'm super graffiti writer. It's just that
talking shit
really study New York. They really study New York. Like they know more about New York than we do sometimes. Like they study everything.
Nah, even though I haven't been out of state like that and to bomb, I know what you mean because with the hip hop, it's the same shit. Like in the other countries, they worship the old school niggas that we just.
Even think about hip hop, right? Think about rap music. Rappers have to be famous to be successful in a sense because that's how they make money. We don't make money off bombing. Like I don't get paid to bomb. So like imagine going somewhere else and they know you. Like it's like I never forget the first time going to France and people knew me, and I'm like, but I'm here with Cope. I'm just the bomber guy. Like he's doing the event. But then it's like you're doing the books and it's like the crowds and they're like, oh, I remember seeing this and seeing that, and you're like, oh shit, this is ill. And I think that's when it clicked to me that, oh, this is real. Like this is legit. And then it becomes the thing that's dope with it too is like you no longer become a tourist. It's like you literally could go anywhere in the world and you could like link up with someone. And it's all through graffiti. You can't do that with anything else.
That's
You
a
could be
fact.
the most richest nigga in the block. Or you book a flight, you a tourist somewhere. I could book a flight, you could book a flight, let's say Cope could book a flight, and there's probably someone at the airport ready to pick us up, take us to the local shit and chill. You can't do that if you don't have that name. And just New York graffiti gives you that.
What about, did you ever bomb Cali? Because that shit is all flooded with fucking gangs. It's man hard, I heard.
The first time I went to Cali, I bombed, well, I was with Cope, and it was like 2007. I bombed out there with T-Loke and Hale. We was bombing in the daytime. And I never forget, we was bombing in the day, and I still actually talk to both of them. We was actually bombing in the daytime, I never forget. I'm out there doing fill-ins, and I think it was Ewok from 5MH called me. He's like, yo, you in Cali? I'm like, yeah. How the fuck you know I'm in Cali? He's like, your throw-ups are all over 12-ounce profit. I'm like, I'm literally doing them right now. He's like, well, somebody's behind you taking photos and posting them. And I was like, that's crazy. I was like, that's fucking nuts. That was before IG. I don't know when IG came out, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't around in 2007.
Yeah, this was like MySpace probably, right?
More graffiti was more 12-ounce profit because before 12 ounce was like the AOL chat rooms, and then it was 12 ounce profit. So that was like the graffiti, and then it became Flickr for a little while.
Excuse me. All right, so now I gotta pick your brain again.
Yeah,
You gave me the top 10 Bronx niggas.
Mm-hmm.
Is your top 10 favorite writers of all time any different than the Bronx top 10 you gave me?
It might be. Let me see. I could give you my favorite writers, and it's probably for different reasons. Not in any order. It's just Cope would be number one, just for sake of argument. And then it was different people for different things. Like I always liked Scuff, and just me and him always became cool, and just everything from his bombing to the way he carried himself at that time. You know, just the things you heard about him and just his style was always dope. I always liked Vifa. I thought Vifa was really dope.
Oh, God.
Vifa's like, and it's funny, me and him are actually cool too. Vifa's like a graffiti ninja, like I call him, because it's like that nigga will bomb and you won't even know he's bombing. Like you just come outside one day and be like, where the fuck did these tags come from? Like, and it's not like even he did them one day. It's like he's like the most random bombing person. It's just weird. So I always like that about, and it's also consistency. Like he's been painting since the 90s. He doesn't need to be the most up writer, but he's up. You know what I mean? He still bombs. Like that to me is more important than going hard for like 2-3 years and then you just be on the internet telling everybody what you did 10 years ago. Like that's played out. Like he's one of the people that was always around. Then it's mostly some of the people from my list. Like I would always say the T Kids, just because I seen the influence they had in graffiti in New York. And even in Berlin, like the first time I went to Berlin, he kind of sparked the graffiti movement out there. It's crazy to see that. Like, yeah, and you know, I heard, like, I'm not just saying this, like I've heard this from the people there while we were together. They would say like I don't know if it was the 80s, I don't want to say exactly when it came, but you could see the influence in his style from the old school writers in Berlin. Like the guys that were painting in the late 80s, they were doing his style, and it's because he went out there and influenced them. So it's just dope to see how a dude you chill cool with can influence another country. Like that's just ill to me, you know. And then, you know, I gotta put my boy Speck in there because he was like very good. He was very good at his, you know, at an early age. He was very young and he has so many different styles. Like he was very talented, Like he was 16, 17 years old doing dope throw-ups. And even his pieces, like he could piece, but he didn't really piece much because, you know how New York is. You either bomb or you piece. It wasn't too many of both. So he was, another one of my favorites because he was just so the passion behind it. Like he always wanted to do something fresh. And then I would say the people I told you on my list would probably fill up the rest. Like, there's a lot of other people who you look at and you get a little like influence. But my thing is always longevity. Like who's been around the longest? Who's in it for the marathon?
You got a lot of good people. What about throwies? Who got the best throw-ups?
I think Cap's throw-ups are always dope. It was just so simple and complicated at the same time. Then it's Hope's throw-up because it's like a Nike stamp. It's like it just becomes its own thing. It's like you don't even got to know what graffiti is to know what that is. It's always dope. Vifa's throw-ups I always thought were fresh, even though he did, he was more of an outline guy. He didn't do as many films.
Solid.
Scuff's throw-up was always dope. Spec's throw-up was always dope. I was always big on the clean throw-ups. Like, I would say those were probably more the throw-ups that had style and also were very clean and simple at the same time. Because even if you notice, like, I could do 50 million different throw-ups, but it was always about the stamp. Like, what was your stamp? So that's why I never changed my throw-up.
So your throw-up, because I saw the picture with the real young G and shit. You can see that it's still the same style, but it's just not mastered. It's in its art
that's
form.
part of being a toy. Like, I think everyone starts off a toy. Like, it's okay, but it's like, what do you do? How do you get better? Like, I went from doing those to like, I know how to piece. Like, you could put me on a wall with anyone. I'm gonna
When
get it.
the crossing over to piecing, from the beginning you were starting it or after the bombing?
I always hated piecing. I thought it was a waste of time.
I still do think it is. I wouldn't waste 100 cans on one spot and stand there for 10 hours. I can't do it. I need to go and move and catch tags and keep it moving.
I still can't do that anymore. That's why I don't really do legal walls. I just never thought, same thing. I look at 10 cans and I go, why am I going to do one piece? I could do like 25 throw-ups with this. So I was like, fuck that shit. But then it became a thing where you just like really think about graffiti and you go, what separates you from everyone else? So it's like, do you want to be the guy that just bombs or do you want to be the guy that does everything? And then it became a thing where I don't want to be the bomber. Like, how do I become the dude that bombs, does straight letters, does pieces, does simple styles, does burners, and does it at a good level? Because there's some people who try to transition that can't. Like they just don't have it in them. But I have people who taught me and showed me things, and I wanted to learn. And I tried to, what's crazy? You know what got me into piecing? There was two things that got me into piecing. One, I felt New York graffiti was falling off, and I'll tell you why. I grew up watching murals being done in the street, but then there became a phase where it just became all about the internet. So you had these people who, they wouldn't piece in the street, they'll piece like an abandoned factory or like the back of a store that they knew the owner. And they would just do it every week and take a photo and go, look, I'm doing these ill pieces in New York. And I'm like, nobody sees that. Like, you're just doing a piece and you're like, and not to diss them, but it was like, that's corny. Like, you could do it once in a while, but that wasn't graffiti. Like, I remember sitting at a wall, watching, let's say, the FX Tats Crew walls that Hope would do, the FC Tats Crew, FC FX walls, all those dope Bruce Lee walls and all that shit. And then you remember there was a kid that had to walk by that every day to go to school or to go buy milk for his mother. And that's what sparked him to do graffiti. A kid's not walking in back of a store or a factory or a fucking bando to see your piece. It doesn't have the same Like you could see it on the internet, but you just scroll away and it's gone. There's so many more things. But when you have to walk by that every day, it starts to spark an interest. And that's how you create the next generation of graffiti writers. And I just felt like that was missing. I was like, it just became too much internet. And that's when I was like, graffiti washed up. Like everybody just cares about the internet. They forgot about bombing, about doing the pieces.
Do you have like pictures of all like of trains and all of that shit? You got all of that?
Nah, I've never done. I don't fuck with them clean trains. Freights I have, trains not really. My brother has that stuff. I will look at them, but now with the internet, everything's just there. Like I wasn't into the trains because that wasn't my era, but I always liked the fact that they created something from nothing. Like me and if I'm correct, maybe me and Yes too are having this conversation once. Like 70s writers are some of the best writers because they really had nothing to bite off. Like they had to literally wake up and figure some shit out. So they would do these funky pieces with dots and crazy arrows, and you might look at it and go, it's not that complicated, but they didn't have anyone to bite off. Like you got these kids now that could look at the internet, and now they're the new Cess or the new T Kid or the new Rhyme or the new this guy or the new that guy. These guys were the first of them. So that was always it was always interesting to me to see the development of style, like how dudes went and started doing different arrows and 3Ds and colors. And this might be boring to some people who are not into that, but I like to study how did it develop? Like what made them think like that? Like why do they do it like that? What's the purpose of that? They didn't just there's a system behind everything. And I try to tell young writers, like there's some writers who try to paint, and I tell them don't think too far ahead. Try to just figure out the basics, and then you grow from there. Don't try to be too complicated when you don't even know what you're doing. Like try to understand the rules before you try to break the rules.
That's very important, bro. A lot of them don't, bro. They half-ass it, man. What do you think about the like the graft in New York City these days?
Horrible. Just being honest. A lot of it is horrible. And that's partly our fault because I think we don't school a lot of these kids. And part of it is our fault because we don't school some of them. Sometimes we're like, how do you say it? We're like out of reach. Like maybe they don't feel they could reach out to us. Like, being older and being around, they're like, oh, he's never going to talk to me or show me things. And then like, we're not in the street. Like I'm not hanging out on the block. I'm not hanging out. I know some of the younger niggas, but I'm not in the street hanging out with them. I'm pretty sure you're not hanging out on the street with them. But it's part of that. A lot of it's the internet. Like graffiti became cool. Like before, it wasn't that cool, and you couldn't really paint unless you were a certain type of person. Like you couldn't walk around the street and just bomb. Like, and that's why a lot of kids didn't bomb. They were scared. They were like, I ain't going over there. You fucking bugging. Like now these kids, it's so safe for them. They wake up, half of them don't even know that the name is taken. How many writers you see write a name? You're like, my man, you don't know this is taken? Like there's some nigga that's famous that wrote that. Like,
and if you say so, you're a hater.
Yeah, you're a hater. That's everyone's new word, a hater. Hater, everybody makes up these words. They don't know the definition of it. But then it's also how it's also how you approach them. Then again, I look at it like this. Half of them won't be around. I'll say 85% of them. Look at COVID. How many writers started in COVID? You don't even see them painting no more. They bombed COVID. They started bombing. They thought they were cool. They were like, oh, I'm going to bomb. I'm the illest. And then they probably got caught once or twice and they're done. You probably won't even hear from most of them again. They probably never write again, most of them.
Pandemic bombers.
There are tons of them. And I let them be. It's cool. Let them have their fun. But those guys don't go in the history books. They're not even in the asterisks.
That's a fact. And a lot of them still didn't even go to the grimy places where you're supposed to go.
Say in Spanish.
Because me as a writer, I'm a tag bomber really. I rock fillings in the 90s, but my shit is tags. So I just writing in the grimiest, where niggas is at, where the action is popping. You know what I'm saying? That's why
that was me too. It's funny. You know who was like that too? I used to bomb when I was 17, right? And when me and her used to paint, she hated the nice places. She's like, fuck the city. That shit is for the fucking cornballs. That's where all the toys go to get famous. We used to be
Yes.
like, we going to the hood. We going to East New York. We
That's
going
right.
to fucking South Bronx. We going to Jamaica, Queens. We going to Harlem. And we just gonna fucking bomb until somebody pulls out a gun on us or we get chased or some shit. And that's what it was. We hated that city shit. What's funny is like I see a lot of these kids now, they talk a lot of these like writers that bombed in the city back in the day. But those were like the corny writers to me. Like the real writers were the ones that was in the hood. Like,
I mean, yeah, the city was like a neutral zone. Anybody could go there at any
it
time.
was like
Yeah,
extra credit.
Flatbush or to motherfucking, you know, Brownsville or Bushwick in the 90s. You get your face cut.
Yeah, I've had guns pulled up on me bombing and then chased. Like I've done have people pull out guns and go, yo, what you doing out here? And you just, you know, you're not stupid. You're like, oh, I'm out, I'm good. And you just bounce. I'm not gonna fucking start fighting with someone with a gun for a throw up. Like, you know what I mean? But it's also, you understand, but it's the same thing in my neighborhood. There was kids that would come around, and if they weren't down with us, the neighborhood niggas run up on them. Like, what you doing out here?
It's a fact.
It's just how it was.
You ever got like chased by the police in another country or in another state?
Country, state, nah, not really, thank God. Nah, not really. Nah, only in Peru. But it's weird when you go to those third world countries. You give these niggas $5 and they'll fucking drive you back to your hotel after. Like it's
$5.
I'm not even lying to you. Like probably the equivalent of $5.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's actually scary because when you think about it, the people who are getting paid to protect you in a sense, you could just pay them anything and they're gonna look another way. So imagine you run into some dudes in the neighborhood who just feel like fucking with you, maybe rob you or some shit. Mind you, in a third world country, not in Brooklyn, not in the Bronx. And the niggas just give the cops $5 to leave, and you just there stuck.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. The niggas that's robbing you could pay the cops to get the fuck out of there. I didn't even think
I
of
was
that.
more like, yo, this is crazy. Like,
Well, I would
see, that's why
I would pay the cops to be like, look, I'm
Listen.
gonna bomb this shit. Keep these niggas away from me.
But the whole shit is that I hate getting locked up in New York. You know what I'm saying?
they
So
get locked up
imagine
anyway.
third world country, nigga. Yo, that's crazy, my
Yo,
nigga. God bless you, my nigga.
Central Booking and
That's why I give niggas like you, TD, Neo Sabs, mad, yo, crazy props, because that should take some fucking balls, my nigga.
No, it does. Like, even I was bombing Virginia, right? You get caught in Virginia, you going in. Like, that's a fucking common. Like, you get caught bombing in Virginia. And I was in the hood in Virginia by myself. I'm doing throws, and in the middle of filling in, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, but I'm like, fuck it, I'm here. And I'm just doing it, and I'm like, if I get bagged in here, I'm most likely going to jail.
Where you was at, Norfolk?
I think it was Richmond.
Richmond.
That's where Gigi was at, by the Midlothian.
Yeah, nah, I'm in Virginia right now and shit with the family and shit. That's crazy.
Richmond's hood. I didn't know it was that hood till I went out there. Yo, this shit is mad ghetto. Out there bombing, even places like Massachusetts. I'm bombing Massachusetts. It's funny, I bombing there the next day, the cops was calling my phone. I'm like, I see the fucking phone. I'm like, oh, hell no. I don't even answer. I'm pretty sure what happened was I was bombing and parked the rental and there's cameras. They probably seen the car plate, called the rental place, called my phone, but they never called back. So I was like, fuck these niggas. I already knew what it was when I got the call the next day. As soon as I seen the state, it said like, you know, it said the town and the police, it said whatever precinct. I was like, oh, hell no. Boop. I said, I already know what this is about.
Yo, that is nuts, nigga. So, but all the real, like, getting chased by police, that shit is all New York shit, right? You got chased.
For me, I know people who've been chased. I've heard people that had issues with, like, helicopters and shit like that, like, running up, like, pulling up on them. And I guess it's just different. Like, you know, I don't move deep, so I don't really look hot. And then, you know, you feel it out. Like, you go places, you be like, all right, am I going to do the hot boy spots or am I going to do the corner? And, you know, you figure out how, and it's weird because a lot of cities ain't like New York where it's so live. Like a lot of cities after 9, 10 o'clock is dead. So you bombing out there, there's really nobody outside in the street. Like, it's not like here you could be out 2 in the morning, there's people walking around trying to get food or something. Most places, 9, 10 o'clock, the stores are closed. You can't even get McDonald's probably.
Wow, that's what I'm used to. That's why I'm used to the city life.
That's what I'm saying. Like, shit, you got 2 floors and shit.
Yeah, when you go out of state like that, like over here, it be looking like a setup. It look like Jason or somebody about to jump out. It's all fucking trees, my nigga.
Yeah.
Oh, so what about merch? What about merch? Do y'all niggas fucking? Anybody get like canvases, anything off of you? Any type of merch?
Not really. I don't really do that stuff. I mean, I've done collaborations with things like I've done a collaboration recently with Falsehood. It did pretty well. We sold a lot of stuff. I don't really do. I do canvas. I've done a show. I'm actually doing a show in February, but I don't really do the canvases on IG and other. It's just not my thing. It's just.
What about pins? You gotta do pins so niggas can have you in their collection, bro.
Yeah, I could be the pin they don't have. I'm not interested in none of that stuff.
I gotta put your pin next to the coat pin, damn, son, for the collection.
It's not for me. I'm the kind, I'll do the pin and I'll just give it away. Like, I don't really care for them. I'll do them and just give them away.
Yo, that's crazy. A lot of writers say that shit. They be like, I don't even give a fuck about that shit.
You're like 10 pins, just give them out to 10
But
niggas.
you see, when I made my pin, my nigga, and then I see niggas posting it with their collection and they have my pin around certain niggas, I'm like, oh shit, that looks dope. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
Then it's the thing too is everyone's doing them, so I'm just the other guy doing a pin. Like it's just never been my thing. Even Kobe's a fucking
Another guy, you're G.
It's goats.
My brother used to get mad at me before too, because like people would come in town from like Europe and shit and buy paintings from him, and they would ask for one from me. He'd be like, "Yo, this guy, he's got $500. He wants you to do this." I'd be like, "I'm good." He used to be like, "What you mean you're good?" I was like, "I don't want to do it." He'd be like, "But that's $500." I'd be like, "I don't give a fuck. I'm not doing it." Like, he'd be like, "You crazy? I'm coming to your house now and just do it, and I'll bring it." I used to be like, I just never was into it like that. Just didn't care.
Yeah, that's crazy because there's niggas that would die to make fucking 500. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I just don't like, and he would tell you like, and it's just, it wasn't me. Like and the thing is too, is I respected it too much that I couldn't put myself as an artist when there's real artists out there. Like, I hate seeing people just trying to make $50. It's like, to me, it's just me. It's like, I have too much respect for the guys that are artists that I couldn't do it. I can't. I feel like I'm disrespecting them. It's like, that's just me. I'm like, that's not my lane. Let them do their thing. Like, that's not fair.
So let me ask you this. If you had advice right now, you're talking to all the young niggas right now, bombing the street right now, what advice you give them real quick so they could, try to elevate their game a little?
Honestly, to be honest with you, I'd rather give them non-graffiti advice. Then I'm just being honest.
And that would be?
I look at a lot of these kids now, and it just bugs me out how all these kids are like drug addicts. And, it's just crazy how they just normalize being junkie. And, I don't even think some of them realize it. Like, there's so many of these kids just popping pills and taking all this fucking lean. That ain't even a New York drug. Like, who the fuck? No, New York niggas don't do that. That's like some.
This is what we
Hennessy.
do.
Those are the 2 New York drugs. You know what I mean? That these niggas is popping pills and, and I get it. I wouldn't say I understand it because I understand it's just, it's just the way they cope with things, and it's just the internet just it's a whole different pressure for this generation. It's like, it's so instant that if things don't work out for them fast, they get stressed and they start popping pills and thinking the world is about to end. And it's just more about that. Like, that shit is not cool. Like, back in the day, you was a junkie writer, niggas wasn't fucking with you. Like niggas will look at you like, get this junkie ass nigga out of here. Now it's like all the junkies hang out and they just all do graffiti. Like, this shit is crazy. Am I wrong? Am I bugging? Like, I see all these niggas popping pills and sniffing coke, and I'm like, what the fuck? This is crazy. Like, it's normal. And it's just like, that shit ain't normal, my nigga. Like, don't normalize that. That shit is not normal. And then what's even scary about that is there's so much counterfeit drugs out there. You popping the wrong pill and you gone. Like
Fentanyl.
niggas pop the wrong pill and the next day your boys on IG talk about rest in peace, but he wasn't a junkie. He might just pop 2-3 pills a day, but one of those pills was made with some fentanyl for some nigga who's just trying to come up. And it's scary. Like, it's really scary. Like, that will honestly be my advice. Stop. That junkie shit ain't cool, my nigga. Like, it's not. There's nothing cool about that. Like,
Nah, that's good advice, bro. That's great. That's great fucking advice.
it's never been cool to be a junkie, ever. It just bugs out to me how normal it is. Like, it's crazy. It became normal to be a fucking junkie now. It's just bugged out.
Yeah, man, and a lot of writers from my era, from the '90s, from the late '80s, early '90s too, have turned all crazy on drugs and shit, and it shit just fucks my head up. Like, damn, bro.
I get it, and I understand the process. I understand it, and the reason I say that because I understand why they become that way and how they become that way, but it doesn't mean you need to be that way. Like, and I'm not trying to preach people, oh, this nigga's preaching. Like, my nigga, if I could tell one of you niggas not to do that corny shit and you listen, I'm happy. You could be the corniest nigga in the world. If you ain't doing it because you just like, you know what, this nigga's right, I'm not trying to be everybody's best friend. I'm just trying to tell you that shit ain't cool. Like, there's nothing cool about that shit. And even think about it. Look at the niggas. I try to tell people, right? Too many people look up to bums, right? You got these people who look up to these other writers, other people, but when you just take away the graffiti and look at what they do, these niggas is bums. A lot of them are bums, junkies, losers. Like, these are your role models. Like, this is crazy. Like, really think about it. Like, you got to pick your role models correctly. Like, you look at a writer and go, oh, this nigga's up, and they listen. But if you take away the graffiti and look at them, some of them, you'd be like, this nigga's a loser. Like, I'm not fucking with this nigga. Let him do his graffiti. I'll give him his respect. But this ain't the nigga I should be hanging out with. This ain't the nigga I should
Nah, I'm just fucking with you. I'm just fucking with you.
Am I wrong, though?
Nah, you're absolutely right. Mad niggas just floating through my head while you're talking. Pause.
Oh, yeah. No, I get it. I understand. And it's even at that, I don't even chill with a lot of writers because I'm like, my nigga, I can't talk about graffiti all day. I got other shit going on. You think I want to hear about what you did in 10 years ago? If I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. Like you still talking about that? That's crazy. I could do graffiti all day and not even talk about it. Like, there's just other shit to do. But I don't know. That's just me. But
so did you ever sit around with Cope and just debate about graffiti?
nah, not really. I mean, nah, not really. I was more observant. I'm the kind of person that just watches everybody, and I just like pick everybody's brain, and then I just try to like process it my way. So like I would listen, like for example, certain things. Just let's say a video grab back in the day. Even Star Wars to this day, you'll see certain writers in there, and at the time when you watch it, like let's say I watch a videograph now or Autobomb, and I just started writing. I might think that those were the writers that were up at the time. Half of them never wrote again.
That's a fact, bro.
Right or wrong?
Nah, that's a fact. And you know what? Somebody else had said a good point to me the other day. Because, you know, I idolized the train era because that was the era before me. I grew up seeing that. I always wanted to do that, but I missed it because of my age. Yeah. So I idolized a lot of these niggas. So my other man, I'm not going to say his name, the nigga was like, oh, but why you idolize these niggas like that? I was like, these are the niggas. He said, yo, you was bombing 3 times longer than all of these niggas put together. Their train career was like 4 or 5 years, and that's it. The trains was over. You've been bombing for like 20, 30 years. You got it up on the niggas been. And I'm like, well, I started thinking about that shit. Like, wow, a lot of these niggas' careers were super short.
Here's somebody with, you know, me and TD were talking about that once, right? I'll mention his name because we don't got to mention who we were talking about. But it wasn't even a person. We would just talk about graffiti in general. It wasn't like we named the person. But one day we was talking because I know him since I was a little kid. Like, we used to bomb in 2001, 2000, like, think about it. 2001, we're in 22. He's still bombing. That's 21 years ago. He was bombing before me, and he's still painting. So me and him been painting for 20 years. Like, you know, we painting. That's a long time. Then you think about the dudes that were in some of those videographs, let's say, and even the Star Wars and these videos. Half of them niggas wrote for 2 years, maybe 3, if that. And then they, you know, and even with this internet now, you get these writers that they might have bombed hard for like 3-4 years. Then they disappear for 10. Then they come on here like they're the king, and now you gotta buy their canvases, and you gotta buy this and that, and they're cool. And I'd be like, dude, you painted for like 3 years, bro. Like, you know what I mean? If you're the king, if you're the king, right? Who am I? Who's TD? What are we? Like, what are the guys that are still painting? You know what I mean? If you're the king, like, and not even like trying to talk shit like I'm the king, but like, if you're the king and you painted for this amount of time, what is everyone else that's been painting 20 years?
That's a fact.
Do you not think
That's why those terms get thrown around very loosely.
it's crazy? And then they get their little groupies that be like jocking them on, yeah, you're the king, bro. You're that. Like, it's crazy. But you know, you let them live. If it makes them happy, it makes them happy. I could give a fuck what they do. Like, I'm still gonna do me. I'm still gonna be painting. I can't quit anytime soon. I don't see it. Like,
So what's keeping you motivated right now to paint?
it's just it's setting goals. It's like, you know, when Neo, TD, and Saz started setting goals to like hit all the states, because it became just like, what's the point? So they're like, oh, let's just do something different. So then I was like, all right, that's something that can motivate me. It's like, how can I hit every state in America, but also hit a lot of major cities in them states? Like, I don't want to do, for example, Texas. So it's in Texas. I don't want to hit Dallas and say I hit Texas. Like, I hit Dallas, San Antonio, Austin. You know what I mean? Houston. That's 4 major. That's like going all city in another state. But it's like, it's even New York. Like, you hit the 5 boroughs and you say you're all city, but then there's Rochester, there's Syracuse, there's Buffalo. You know what I mean? Not even counting Long Island, which is local. There's, you know what I mean? What happened to all that? Like, that's still New York. You know what I mean? It's just, it becomes a goal, and it's dope too, because like even today I get DMs all the time. Yo, I was walking to the store, or I was driving to see my aunt, and I fucking run into your throw-ups and wherever. And I'm like, yo, and I always tell them, just send me more so I can see them. They'd be like, yo, that's crazy. And it'd be the most random shit. They're like, yo, what are you doing here? I'm like, bombing. Like, you know what I mean?
Did you ever run into another like a New York niggas feelings when you was bombing another state?
Yeah, honestly, now I bump into a lot of like TD, Nav, Savs, and Neo, because they were doing it already. So like mostly them. I run, and I'll always take pictures and send it to them and stuff like that. Like the other day, I was in Texas and I was doing freights. So, you know, I was doing freights as soon as it get dark, and then I was bombing the street later. I walk into the freight yard and there's a TD freight. I'm like, what the fuck? And I send him a photo. He's like, oh, I think I did that in New Jersey. I'm like, that's dope, but it's in Texas. But
that's fine.
I like seeing that because it's dope. Because it's like, yeah, I like seeing people I know up. I've never been a hater. I want to see everybody up.
Did you ever see anybody up in another state or country from New York that surprised you? Like, oh shit, what the fuck was this nigga doing there?
Nah, maybe I can't think of any off the top of my head, because most of the cities I've been to were very, how do you say it, like major cities like Paris, Berlin, Tokyo. So like you expect people to go there, just not as much. It was one of the places I went that you barely saw anybody. Like, they were more surprised that we was out there. They were like, nobody comes out here. And I was like, well, we here. Like, you know what I mean? We're gonna hit this.
That's fire, bro. How many states do you have under your belt, you think? Do you have them counted?
Nah, I don't count them. I just know the ones I didn't do when I go there. Honestly, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. It's not 50, it's not 40. It might be 10, 20. But a lot of them I didn't document there's places I've been to and I might have did a few throw, but I never really thought about it. I just did it. So I kind of started over like, all right, I'm gonna do this like a strategic. And then, like I said, it's more not the state, it's hitting the major cities. Like, that's why, like, somewhere like Texas, I would go first because there's 4 or 5 major cities there. Where I could have just did 4 or 5 different states that week. But I would rather do the major cities and just knock it all out. Because to me, that's more like bombing. Because then you're going to get to states like maybe Idaho. There might be one little town with a few throw-ups. Do that later. You know what I mean? I want to do more of the major cities. Cali, you could go up and down Cali. There might be 5, 6 cities you got. That's a whole week trip.
You ever did Oakland? Was in Oakland?
I never. I just did LA years ago, but I want to go back and do a few of those cities. Like do them. You know, and I got people. I know people in Oakland. I know people in LA. So it's just a matter of getting out there, just doing it.
That's fire, bro.
Puerto Rico.
Damn.
I did Puerto Rico like 2, 3 times.
Puerto Rico. I never really like went to another state and bombed, my nigga. Like said, all right, I'm gonna rock some feelings out here.
It's different. It's different because how can I say? For example, like I was in Dallas, right? There's not too much shit in the street, so it's like if you don't know someone or you don't try to figure some shit out, you might not run into much graffiti. Like there's certain states that don't really have much graffiti. You know, Dallas, I went, I fucking winged it. I said, let me try something. I ain't gonna give my strategy, but I said, let me try something. I tried it. I ran into a spot. From there, I said, if I run into this, there should be more. And I just, one filling became 15 filling. And I was like, all right, we good. And I get pictures all the time. Like somebody sent me, I think today from Dallas. He was like, yeah, driving to fucking run into your throat. I'm like, let me more.
That's what it's all about, my nigga. At the end of the day, bro, I just want to hear the feedback. That's what makes me satisfied.
Yeah, and it's just dope. Like you never know who you influence. You could create, like when you go to different states, there's not many pioneers. So like the pioneers, who influences the pioneers for them? So you could go to fucking Alabama and bomb some city and might influence some dude who creates a whole movement out there. And like T-Kid did with Berlin, in a sense. Going to Berlin and creating a whole movement of his style up there. Same thing.
That's wild, bro. When you said that, that shit hit me in the head. Like, wow, the nigga, that's crazy.
Yeah, no, I witnessed it myself. I was with him over there. And I'm hearing them tell him, like, yo, you influenced this whole kind of movement. I was like, and you could see it in the pieces. When you look at it, you could tell that's T-Kid all the way.
You say shit of Berlin, you see that shit Berlin with graffiti.
Hell yeah, Berlin. You bombed Berlin
I
before?
bombed Berlin like 2, 3 times. I bombed Berlin and came back like 5 years later and still had to off in Berlin.
Ooh, nice.
Still had to, I never forget. I was driving with this dude I know that owns this store, Yard 5. He's mad cool. He's the first person to fly me out of Berlin. I never forget. He's one of the first people that made me peace. He would come to New York and I would take him around. We would chill. And he goes, yo, next year I want you to come to my jam in Berlin. And I'm like, I don't peace. So, you know, it don't make sense for me to come to your jam. He told me straight up, he said, well, you got a year to learn the piece because you come to the jam. I was like, all right, I guess I got a year to learn the piece. And I went there and I did a piece in the jam he did. And as soon as I finished my piece, first thing I did was start bombing. And I remember coming back. I think I was on a flight to Paris, and I wound up stopping there for a day. I'm gonna go to Berlin for a day and see them because, you know, cool with them. I'm in Europe, and we driving around, and I see I'm like, oh shit, that's crazy. I was like, still running like 5, 6 years later. I was like, dope.
That's fire. I know, because this nigga, if you ever go over like Savs, even if it's in another country, he's coming back and he's taking his fucking spot back. My nigga, don't ever disrespect. That's a fact. Neo ass Savs, son. The niggas is crazy. You know what's that?
Therefore,
Yo, another country like that's not fact.
I said when I get back there, I'll get back there, but I'm not that thirsty to go fix a spot somewhere else.
So how many countries you think you ran through already?
Not a lot. I mean, I go to a lot of the same places because I go with Cope a lot, like for work stuff, like, record selling and shit like that and shows. So we run through a lot of the same clients. So it'll be repetitive. A lot of it is like Paris,
So
Philly.
Paris has a lot of graffiti too, right?
Paris,
Paris is
well,
all.
they used to, but they buffed a lot of shit. Like it used to be calm like New York, but last time I was there, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, this shit is clean. I was like, this is crazy. It was clean. I wound up going to the south of France. Bomb. I was like, yeah, this is more like it. And then that's when I was bombing out there. It felt like the 90s.
There's always the South Side, ain't it?
Word. There's always the south side of somewhere where the shit is
Well, it's
popping at.
crazy. That's like the rich area, and there's the fucking beaches, and then you go a few minutes into the ghetto, and it's like the South Bronx. I was like, oh yes, this is dope.
That's fire, bro. That I wish I want to go to south of France. I have no reason to go there.
Shit, I want to go to
If you
South
look at
France.
I did the Writer's Itch video we filmed in France and in Peru. You can see the France part. That's the south of France. It's hood. There's mad Arab gangs and African gangs and shit like that. And we just bombed it. Like, it's dope because you go through the hood and you'll see stuff running from like 10 years ago from writers from Europe. And I'm like, oh, this shit runs. And I was just doing mad feelings up there.
Them niggas is rolling with machetes.
That's fire,
Them
bro.
niggas are rolling with machetes.
So niggas like you already set the standard and the bar higher than just going all city or bombing 5 boroughs. Do you think that's gonna be like a thing now? More writers gonna want to like, you know what? I'm killing all the 50 states, then I'm gonna start hitting.
I mean, it should be because the thing is, the problem with some writers, they get too ahead of themselves. They start writing and then they want to be like all country the next year. You got to like establish your ground first. You know what I mean? Like you can't get tired of hitting New York if you just started writing. Like you got to actually build a name and then expand from there. Because it's weird, like when I see people trying to travel so much, like I don't think people really know who you are. Like, not saying that, the internet, you see the name, but you don't know the identity. Where's this writer from? You just know there's a writer painting on the place. But I think once you establish your name in your city, it could be New York, could be California, it could be wherever. The community's small. With the internet now, you could just reach out to anyone and paint wherever. You don't have to, it was harder before because you had to actually know people. Now you could DM someone and maybe they'll respond back. And depending how you interact with them, it might be like, yeah, come over here and we paint, you know what I mean? But I think it should be the standard. I mean, you should want to be, the first goal should be longevity. That's just my opinion. Don't be the 2-year, 3-year writer, 5-year writer that just talks about graffiti on the internet after that, like you're God's gift to graffiti. It's about being active. It's not about being all city every year either. Like, just be active. Like, you don't have to bomb everything every year, but be active.
That's a fact. Keep your name out there and practice your style. Make sure you get better.
It's okay to start as a toy, but don't be a toy. You see these fucking kids that do a white filling with a fucking yellow outline and a baby blue border. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? You think it's crazy?
Yeah, man. Yo, that's bad.
Yo, I was driving the other day to buy some. I'm on the highway. I see a truck. I'm like, what's wrong? This kid looked like he went to whatever graffiti store, bought his 3 favorite colors and the fattest cap they had, and did like 2 horrible throw-ups on a truck. And I'm like, who told him this is okay? Like, this is really bad. And I was like,
yeah, that's a fact. You see, it's just like you said, if we don't talk to them, they don't know.
and it's even reaching out. It's like extending the arm too. It's like I always tell kids when I meet them, like younger dudes, I'm like, look, you could always reach out to me. Like, I don't have a problem talking to about anything. They don't even have to be graffiti, especially when it's the younger kids. Unless you're just an idiot, because some niggas actually stupid ass shit. Like, dude, get out of here with that. Like, if you asking me gossip and stupid shit, like, what cap should I use? That's just dumb shit. But if you ever like have a question or just want to know something, you could always reach out. Like, you should always open that, extend that arm to them. That's just the right thing to do. Like, if you know the information, you should give it to them. What they do with it is on them. But you should always extend their hand. That's just me. That's the only way they're going to be better. You can't complain about these kids all the time and then not help them. And I didn't want to say help, just give them the information. You know what I mean? If you have a question, ask it. Fine. Sometimes they don't know. You can't blame them. They don't know. They don't know you're not supposed to do a white film with a baby blue outline.
That's some shit you never
And
do.
they take a picture of it and post it up and be like, yo, son, I rocked this spot,
And
son.
then the next week, they're selling pins. Great.
The same colors, too.
They should get a
Then
message
nobody
saying,
buys the pins, and then they start saying everybody's a hater. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's true, G. Exactly. They're gonna say you hate that. And if you ever come out with a pin, niggas is gonna DM you some niggas that did the white with the baby blue. Like, yo, son, I'll trade you.
I'll trade you for your pin. The fuck?
wait, but I got the white with the yellow outline.
Yeah, so graffiti is mad crazy, but you know, this shit, I could be whoever. This shit helped me express myself my whole life. To me, it just made me a better person because I could just take all my creative shit and put it into graffiti and then live the family life over here. You know what I'm saying?
You separate.
It's therapy for most of us. I mean,
Yeah.
I think about even me. Bombing was probably trying to get out of my house. Like, I need to get the fuck out of here. And then you be in the street, walking around your block, and then it just goes from walking around your block to going to other blocks bombing. A lot of it is that. A lot of it is escaping shit you don't want to be around as a kid.
Reality, yup.
That's why I say I understand these kids with these pills and that. They don't know any better. They just like, fuck it, pop it, and my troubles be gone for an hour or two. And then I just pop another one and I'll be all right. But I get it. But that doesn't mean that's the only answer. You know what I mean? Like, there's other shit you could be doing.
That's a fact, bro.
The thing is that
I wish a lot of more writers felt like that, because when I was younger, a lot of people called me a toy. Oh, toy this, that. I had to find my own way.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
think about it. Most writers are haters. Because when you think about it, the writers always want to be famous, right? So the goal at the beginning is probably always the goal anyways, to be famous. So if I'm from your block and I'm the cool writer and you start coming up, you're a threat to me being famous now. Because if you become more famous than me, I'm not famous anymore. So now you get these guys with these egos that are like, I'm not helping this little nigga. And it's because they want to be cool on their block. So the minute you're the cooler guy on the block, they're washed up. You know what I mean? So they don't want that. So it's the same thing like rap music. As soon as you come up, the niggas start hating on it. Like, oh, it's like the crab in the barrel mentality. You could be famous, but I could be famous, but you can't. Because once you're famous, I'm not famous. It's stupid. It's just a stupid mentality. It's this insecurity thing. It's just like, fuck that Tory, he's a Tory.
I think when I initially started writing graffiti, I was young and I wanted the fame. But then as I started like really going out and bombing other places, it was just for the rush and the feeling. It was for the feeling that I'm doing it at the time.
To me, it was obvious. It's always the fame because you want to be known. It's like, remember, we come from poverty. So it's like, and it's this how the hip hop movement started. It's like a bunch of kids that ain't have shit and somebody needs to listen to us. So it becomes your voice. Like, look at me, I'm here. I'm SR, I'm here. You got to see me. But then for me, it changed when I started traveling. And I'll tell you why. The fame was cool, but then, my situation is I can never be more famous than my brother. He's the most famous graffiti writer in history. There's no argument to that.
Coke, he said, so I used to do throw ups on top of me. Your brother just wrote. Damn, Coke, I'm sorry.
So then it becomes, it started becoming the traveling. When I started traveling and I seen people knew me in other countries, and remember, I wasn't traveling because I was the guest at a graph show event. I was traveling because Cope was going to do an event in France, let's say, and he was like, yo, you want to come? And I'm like, hell fucking yeah, like a graffiti in another country, I'm just tagging along. But then when
Shit.
people know you, they're like, "Oh, that's you." I'm like, "What do you mean that's me?" They're like, "Yeah, we know you." Then it clicked to me as like, "Oh, this is real. Like this is international thing for real." And then it became a thing where I was like, "So you're gonna tell me I could go anywhere in the world and somebody knows me? That's dope. Like you can't buy that." So I was like, I'm going to use this as an opportunity to travel the world as a graffiti writer, not as a tourist. And that's what it became. It became a like places like Australia. Like I'm trying to go out there. I know man writers out there, and it's like if they would come here, I took some of them to do their first pieces in New York. You know, chilling with them, showing them around, and we reciprocate. Like, yo, I'm heading to Australia. Yo, I'm coming. Come through. You can come over here, and they take you painting and shit like that. Who the fuck could go to Australia and chill and know people there and just enjoy that place and not be a graffiti writer or a rapper or something? You know what I mean? Like, it's not the same.
That's funny. That's because I told wifey all the time and shit. Because she'd be like, "Oh, my wifey don't really like it too much." I'd be like, who do you know could sell their autograph that's not a movie star or a singer?"
Yeah. And even you, for example, like you could say, "Yo, I'm going to Paris with wifey," and you could hit me up, and I'll be like, "Yo, I know some people out there. Just hit them up, and they'll pick you up in there." Your wife, she won't be complaining then. She'd be like, "Oh, you know people here?" Be like, "Yeah." You know what I mean? Then they start looking at it different. Like, "Oh, he really does know people." Then now you're cool. Now you're like, "Oh, my man's cool now." I used to think he just was doing dumb shit with his friends.
So what's next for G, bro?
I don't know. There is no next. It's just writing graffiti until I probably die. I don't know. I don't really see myself quitting. And it's different graffiti. It's like, bombing, piecing, just being active. Like, however it is. There's always going to be new things to do, like new goals, new missions. I mean, I'll probably see myself slowing down soon for other reasons, more business reasons. There's certain things that they're going to be taking up a lot of my time that I might not have enough time to paint. But till that time comes, it's just whatever.
That's what's up, man. So do you have any last things you want to say before we get off this to the fans? Anything?
I don't know. Fans is a weird word. To the people who show me love and that have respect. All I say is just be in this for the long term. You know what I mean? Don't be. If you in it, be in it. You know what I mean? Do your homework, show respect, and also for the older dudes, like you gotta respect the young generation. You gotta extend your hand and you gotta show them the ropes. You know what I mean? And you don't have to guide them and hold their hand, but you should give them the information. Let them make the decision, but don't. You know what I mean? Don't not share it with them. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing as like. And it sounds crazy, but even reaching out, like if anyone ever needed to reach out, I'm always available. Like the niggas that know me, the younger generation, they could tell you to reach out to me anytime about graffiti stuff, personal stuff. And some of them bug out because they're like, "Yo, you really do talk to me." And I'm like, "Yeah, like why wouldn't I?" You know what I mean? If I'm supposed to help you. In general, I'm supposed to. That's my job. That's your job. You know what I mean? Like you have to help. Like I
That's a
said,
fact.
the decision they make is on them, but you should help them. You can't keep complaining about these young niggas and you not helping them. Like, I'm sorry, you can't. You part of the problem. Sometimes you got to take your responsibility. And like I said, I ain't trying to be preachy, like, "Oh, this nigga's talking." Nah, it's the truth, my nigga. Like, I don't need nothing in return. There's nothing anyone could do for me. Like, I'm being honest. I don't need anything from you. I'm just keeping it real with you. Like, it's just what you should do. That's just me as a man. I'm just being honest.
Nah, that's a fact, bro. That's very honorable and respectable, and it's just logical, my nigga, to keep this shit going the way it's supposed to.
We did forget though. I got all them sticker packs I want to give away that I fucking made. I never.
Yeah, a lot of people was DMing me. They were like, "How could I get it? How could I get it?" I'm like, "Watch," and they're like, "We always watch. How can I get it?"
I don't know. I think probably the bet. I don't know if you want to answer the DMs or me. If you just, I don't know. I probably did like 50 stickers. I get asked all the time for stickers. People offer me money. I'm like, I don't need your money and I don't want to make stickers. So I was like, I'm going to do them for here and just give them out. So I don't know. We'll figure out what do you think is the best way to get them out. I'll probably just mail like 10 packs to 10 different people. So it's
That's it. Tell the fans to or whoever to DM you, and the first 10 people you just send them a sticker pack.
You want them to DM me or DM you?
They could DM me and I'll send you the info. But they have to pay the fans. Y'all gotta pay the shipping.
Nah, they don't gotta pay nothing. I got it. Just send the fucking. I don't need $4 for shipping. Just fucking I don't need $4 from anybody. Just fucking I would say you take 5. I'll take 5 out of my DM and then just mail them shits. You don't got to write your tag. I don't need to know what you write. I don't really care what you write. Because you know how people are, oh, he's going to know my name and my address. I don't give a fuck about none of that. Just put your name, put whatever name you want. Just make sure the address is right. And randomly, I'll pick 5 people. Don't be like, yo, my nigga, I've been wanting stickers. I don't give a fuck about none of that. Randomly be picking 5 people and mailing them out this week.
All right, cool. So I'm gonna write 5 for you. I'll send you 5.
All right, cool. And I'll send them out. It's not a big deal. I mean, hopefully nobody hits me up from like fucking Europe and now I gotta spend $20. But it's all right. It's not a big deal.
That's gonna happen. You know they're gonna be like, yo, don't worry. Next time you come to Europe, I got you.
Nah, it's not a big deal. And don't do me a favor. Don't tell me what to ship. I hate when people ask for shit and then they're like, oh, can you send me this one? And that? No, nigga, you get what the fuck I put in the envelope. I'm not making a special sticker for you. I'm not making a special color for you. It's not happening. It's whatever's there is going out. It's probably going to be 4 or 5 stickers in every package. They just go out.
Look, he asked you to send him a sticker in Africa.
Do your throw up and mad ungrateful sometimes. Oh, can you send me a canvas too? I'm like, the fuck out of here.
High spot.
Yo, G, bro, we fucking salute the shit out of you, my nigga. You are the man. BTC, yo, Bronx, fucking barbarian. You heard?
Thank you.
I would ask one question.
What?
All right. Like, what you doing this weekend? Oh, I'm going to Berlin and Bonn.
You're going to Berlin and Bonn?
That's how it be for you?
Yeah. Like, dead serious. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, you know, I live a life I can do what the fuck I want. So like, there's sometimes I'll be like, fuck it, I'm going here, and I book a one-way flight and I just go do what the fuck I want, and then that's it. Europe is a little different because when you travel out the country, you got to do a little more planning. Like, I don't want to go to some country and the people I know ain't there, or you got to check the weather. There's places I was gonna go and there's a fucking storm there, and I'm like, oh shit, okay, I didn't book that flight. So, but yeah, sometimes it's super random. Like, I'll be like, fuck it, I'm going here. Or sometimes like Neo or TD or Sam's will call me. They'll be like, yo, you want to go to Africa next month? I'll be like, oh, just let me know the week before. I'll tell you, and we might just go to Africa.
You ever had to take a shot before you go to the country to bomb?
No, I don't think so. I'm actually going there in February. This is actually the first place I mentioned it, but me and Cope are doing a show there. So we're doing a show in Cape Town, South Africa. So this is my second show. I did one in Peru, and I actually sold paintings there. And, you know, I actually did it for Peru as a charity because I didn't want the money. So I told them, if you sell the paintings, create an art class for kids, and they did. So I sold like 3-4 paintings over there, and then I just wanted to go to Africa, and I was like, yo, you want to go to Africa? He was like, yeah, fuck it, let's go. So I wound up booking a show. I don't want to tell my formula, but, you know, I learned a lot from Cope, so I was like, yo, I think I could get us a show. Let me try. So I tried it, and it happened to be, it's going to be like the Art Basel in South Africa for Cape Town. So I hit up the gallery, and they responded to me because, you know, I know what they want. I gave it to them. I answered their questions. And they was okay with it. And then I told Cole, I was like, yo, you want to do the Cape Town, South Africa? He was like, oh, word? I was like, yeah, I booked it. He was like, fuck it. And then me and him have a show there in February 17th, I think. Something like that. So I'm going to link up with some people out there, paint Cape Town, Johannesburg, There's another city
Wow,
out there.
South Africa. Yep.
But
that's
I don't
fire.
think you need shots. And yeah, that's my second show. I actually doing it. I don't really. I just started kind of doing shows, trying to do shows, but I do it with a purpose. Like I just wanted to do it. It's kind of funny. I actually hate seeing people complaining that they can't get shows. So I was like, I'm gonna show them how you get shows, and I just put them together, and they came together, and I just did it like kind of like on some. You could do it. You think it's just lazy. Y'all don't put the work in. Like y'all don't do the right work. Like even the conversation I had with the gallery, you know, what a gallery was because the reason they don't select a lot of people that hit them up is because they don't know what they're talking about. They're like, yo, you know how many people hit us up and don't know what they're talking about? They have these most ridiculous demands. They're not realistic, and they just sound like they don't know what they're talking about. So they just don't do shows with them. And then you take someone like me, I hit them up, and just what I was speaking to them about, it was like, oh, he knows what he's talking about. And they did the show. Because I asked them, like, how come you don't do more with these type of people? They were like, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So we just don't have to waste our time. He's like, they're unrealistic. Some of these guys, they never did a show before. They'll hit up a gallery and be like, I want $17,000 for my painting. They're like, nigga, you never did a show before. Like, what are you talking about? And then they be like, well, if you can't give me $17,000, I'm doing your show. I'm like, you know what I mean?
Yo, it'd be mad crazy. It'd be the wildest niggas that be wanting the craziest shit, bro.
It'd be the nigga that couldn't even sell $100 subway map on eBay. Talking about he wants $10,000 for a painting. You're like, how did you come up with that number? Like, where's the logic behind that? And then if you say no, you're a hater.
Yeah. If you said no to my $10,000 painting, you fucking hater. Yo, they don't understand the name and the work. You know it takes decades to build the name, solidify yourself like that for a motherfucker to buy a painting from you for 10 G's, nigga.
But you got a bum saying, hey, where's my shit?
But a lot of these writers are so unreal. They live in a bubble. They really think that the internet translates to them being this famous person. And they're not. Like they're not. They're famous with a group of people who will be dick riding them for a few minutes on the internet, but they're not famous. Like they're not, you know what I mean? Like their bubbles is out of here. They're not realistic. But that's their problem, not mine.
Yo, so one last question, bro, is what dream place, do you have a dream place that you want to go? This like country, like
probably
I
think Africa's one of them, only because that's technically like the motherland to everyone. And I was supposed to do a show in Cambodia this year, but it got canceled because there was an issue with the resort we were doing it in. But that was one place. But it'd probably be South Africa, and I want to go to Bali. I know some people out there. I heard that shit is so fresh. Like that's another Bali. Yeah. I heard there's a huge art scene out there.
Wow.
It's just any of those tropical weird places that people wouldn't think. Like you wouldn't think to go to Bali and there's a huge art scene out there. So it's just that's just like a tropical island. Like to be on a tropical island painting and chilling in fucking bright blue water and white sand, drinking coconut juice and shit and fucking through the wall. That shit is dope. Like that's probably one of Africa, and Bali's probably the second. Because I've done Puerto Rico already, and that would have probably been my first before.
Puerto Rico?
Yeah, but I've been there already.
You have fun in Puerto Rico?
Yeah, Puerto Rico, I love Puerto Rico. I want to buy property out there. I love Puerto Rico. I want to do I hit San Juan. I never really hit the west side, but I want to go back and hit the west.
Yo, so G, bro, I just want to thank you, man. It was great chopping it up with you, bro, and learning the history behind you and all of that shit. Thank you for coming on Graph Champs. Do you got any shout outs before you dip?
Shout out to everybody. Shout out, to my whole BTC crew. Shout out to Sins, Sav, TD, Leo, Ren. I want to give a shout out to all my young boys in the Bronx doing their thing. My AVL boys. That's the young generation coming up. And I always like to show love to them, you know, everyone young, because they're the next generation. You have to school them, you have to show them love. You know what I mean? So everybody, like all the new kids coming out who love graffiti. Not the kids who love the internet attention, the kids that love graffiti. Like, you know what I mean? I just want to shout you out. Like, you're appreciated to the people who love graffiti. You know what I mean? We understand you're the ones who keep it moving. So just know that. You know what I mean? And then, you know, all the writers who came before me, and obviously Cope, like, just for even getting me into this. Like, if he's the spark, you know what I mean? That makes all this happen. So he's definitely gets the biggest big up, if anything.
That's fact, yo. Salute to the big homie Cope. Salute to you. Like I said, thank you again. You are definitely a staple in New York City. Now you're one of the few that's gonna go up. I don't doubt that you'll go all world.
Nah,
you know what I'm saying?
I would. I'm pretty confident.
Yo, salute to you, my brother. It was great having you on Graph Champs. You heard?
Thank you. You too.
The last show of the season, last year we had JEE B.T.C, which was a monumental show. This is equal in you know, status, bro. I salute you.
Thank you. I appreciate the respect. And like I said before, all you young guys, all the new generation, I'm always here. Like, you know what I mean? I can't say I'm the big brother, the big homie, and the nigga that's going to look out for you and not be. So my hand is always extended to anyone. I don't need anything in return. And all them sticker packs that go out, just don't ask me stupid questions. I get stickers. I will not send them to you. I'm just being straight. The stupid questions I get are annoying, just being honest.
I'm gonna send you the list of the 5 names that I pull out from the DM.
They're cool, and I'll send them out after Christmas. I'll put them together now, like tomorrow, and I'll send them out after Christmas.
Yo, salute, G. You gotta X yourself out, bro. Yo, Graph Champs, my nigga. This is motherfucking the end of the year, Graph Champs. You heard?
Nate, enjoy your holidays and peace.
Yes, sir. One. This ends season 2. We're about to enter season 3, baby. Somebody his screen got stuck when he tried to X out, I think. Season 3, man, we got a lot of things is gonna be happening, bro. I thank you everybody for showing up, bro. I see y'all. Salute to my nigga Roach. Salute to my nigga. Oh, I see all y'all niggas in the building, bro. I seen, yo, salute to all the young Bronx niggas, bro. Salute to Spray. Salute to Funk. Salute to Gips. Salute to all them niggas, you heard? Salute to all them young niggas doing it, bro. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host. I saw the vertical, squirticle all over your gizzeros, Bizak, you heard? I'm gonna see y'all next season. A lot of big things happening for Graph Champs. Yo, salute to my Straight 16 family. Yo, salute to the whole authority. Salute to the whole MBK. Salute to the whole Most Wanted. Salute to my nigga 4-5 and Stray F Boom. Salute. You heard to everybody that supports Graph Champs. Thank you, man, for always tuning in and making it live. You heard? I'm gonna keep pushing the fucking history forward for y'all niggas next season. Salute to my whole MBK family. Salute, Dennis. I see you, my nigga. Yo, we're happy holidays to all y'all. Thank you, TD, for tuning in. Roach, Kel, my brother, the whole fucking father mates, Juzza the God. Salute to all of y'all niggas. Savs, Neo, Cope. I see you, my nigga. Salute A1s. I see you. All my niggas. GNS. I'm gonna see y'all niggas next time. You heard? Graph Champs, my nigga. One.